The Academy Awards. A night of magic. A night of glamour. But most importantly, and above all, a night of unhealthy self-absorption.
You like me!
Yeah, let's be real. The Academy Awards is a night, really, for celebrities to, well, celebrate each other for being celebrities.
That sounds awful.
However, the Academy Awards serve another purpose, a purpose that I personally enjoy and try to focus on when it comes to the event. I feel the Academy Awards are a time for film appreciation. The winner is kind of more or less beside the point for me.
And the Oscar goes to...
I don't care.
These films are nominated for Best Picture. They've already won in my book. So let's take a look at these films nominated for Best Picture and talk about why they should win Best Picture. Hello everybody, welcome to Film Fireside. Nomadland was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. One of them, of course, as you know, is Best Picture. Nomadland has been sweeping all the awards ceremonies so far, winning just about everything. Nomadland and Chloe Zhao have been winning Best Picture and Chloe Zhao winning Best Director just about everywhere, which is fantastic. So we're going to take a dive in and of course discuss why this film should win Best Picture, and maybe even why it has been winning Best Picture. But we're going to discuss why this one should win Best Picture at the Academy Awards. This goes without saying, but I'll be discussing spoilers in this video about Nomadland, so if you haven't seen Nomadland, go watch it. It is on Hulu right now. If you have a Hulu subscription, you can watch Nomadland. I highly recommend that you watch this film, just because it's very, very good. So, and also, before we continue with this discussion, you're going to want to make sure you've seen the film first. Common trope of films is the film epic. One element of the epic is the portrayal of the film's main character, a journey that they go on. Nomadland I consider to be a subversion of this genre, of this trope, trying to maybe twist things up a little bit when it comes to the journey element of a film. Most days we hear epic film and we kind of think to ourselves, the MCU, Avengers. Well, those films technically fall into the category of an epic, because part of an epic too, sometimes it's this like big Hollywood budget type of thing, you know, is a really huge display of spectacle. Huge displays of spectacle within film aren't necessarily always the superhero action film, James Bond, Mission Impossible, Marvel, Avengers type of thing that we're used to seeing now, that we kind of expect to see in modern day cinema culture. I point that out so that there's no confusion. The type of epic that I'm referring to, think of the film Lawrence of Arabia. Think of the film Apocalypse Now. Think of the film Dances with Wolves. These films all fall into that epic category as well, and it's mainly because of this epic journey that the main character takes. Through this journey, we typically see them grow, them fall, them succeed in many different ways along the journey to their destination. I think the best example of this is Apocalypse Now, where there is literally a point A to point B journey to go on, and along the way, many of things are discovered about themselves, many of things about themselves are challenged, they overcome things, they fall in other things, and they're all the better for the experience, more or less. Linearly speaking, Nomadland, our main character Fern, played beautifully by Frances McDormand, she does have an arc along her journey along the Midwest United States, or the Western to Midwestern United States. It's of self-discovery, it's of self-healing. The thing about it though that's interesting, and the reason I'm pointing it out, is it's extremely subtle, first of all, and secondly, her journey ends where it begins. So that's why I feel like there's a bit of a subversion here. At first glance, when watching this film, one could think that, well, shoot, she's right back where she started and she's not that much better off. Perhaps she's not better off in the sense that she's still mourning her husband and physically just right back where she started. However, if I may discuss why I don't think this film is stagnant, and I don't think she, I guess, just is right back where she started. I think it seems that way because, kind of on purpose. She has to go and face her past. You know, that's maybe the thing, that's maybe her next step. Her past is clearly following her and it's nagging at her, so she finally has to go and face it. She attempts to do that in the scene just before the end by selling everything she owns. However, we see clearly that that's still not enough. So, going to her old home, I guess it's assumed to be her old home. It doesn't come out and say this is her old home, but I kind of picked up on that's where she used to live. Anyway, that house specifically. That was what I was picking up on. Maybe you interpret it differently. I don't know. However, she's walking through this just empty home, seeing that there's nothing there. And then as she goes, stands on her back porch, we see her just take a look at this just vast, beautiful winter prairie, and she steps out and into the world. And the next shot is her driving away. Another thing about this journey that some could find troubling or bothersome is that she didn't really finish her journey. She's still going, she's still journeying. This is all, I think, very intentional and very much why I consider this a subversion of this genre. I believe she finds that healing in that moment where she's just standing in that back doorway and continues her journey. The life of constantly journeying, that's not necessarily a sad, bad thing. She's not still looking for something anymore necessarily. She is looking for new friends, new adventures to have along the way, and that's always something we're doing in life. Our journey in that basically never ends. It just seemed very real. It seemed very realistic in that, and it didn't conform to the traditional her journey's over so she can stop traveling now type of story. Her personal character arc was the journey we were watching take place. That was the main important thing of this film and of this journey. I mentioned earlier this film is worth being compared to classically and critically acclaimed film epics. Another element of this film that denotes that and allows for this film to be compared to those other great pieces of cinema is this film's cinematography. Of the 6 Academy Awards this film received, cinematography is one of them. Of course, I would be really surprised if it wasn't, actually. This film's cinematography is insane. Insanely beautiful. The cinematography in most films is one that's such an important part of the storytelling, and one that I think is both greatly underutilized sometimes, and secondly, underappreciated by us sometimes. So I feel like this film's cinematography very much deserves to be very specifically appreciated for the just gorgeous shots of the Western United States that exist in this film. There's just some beautiful parts of this country. I mentioned that in my first review. There is just some amazingly gorgeous parts of this country that totally deserve being explored, and this film does that for us. Also, this film's story, I feel like, would be almost meaningless without the cinematography work that goes into this film. Let's talk about the cinematography work that takes place here. I spent some time talking before about Fern's journey and how that's communicated to us. If I were to maybe put this to like a percentage or marginalize it or whatever, I don't know, I would say about 95% of that is communicated to us through the cinematography, and then 5% is communicated to us through dialogue. For me anyway, that's what I feel like takes place here. The whole scene that I talked about, there's nothing said in those scenes. There's no words said at all, yet you can pick up on all this beautiful, beautiful character work going on. You can pick up on all this, and you don't need anyone to tell you about it, and you don't need any scene. You just need the screen. And the images on that screen to express and explain that to you. It is just film storytelling at its finest, letting the visual images and passing through each visual image capture the story and capture the feeling, and that is what communicates it to us. It's just so darn good. And here's the other thing too, it's not easy to do. Like, this isn't just something that every filmmaker can just accomplish. This is something, and especially in this specific way, amongst various different locations, this is a feat that is so good. It's fantastic cinematography work. It's insanely put together. This is just, I don't know, it's risky, I think, for filmmakers to want to do that sometimes, because I think sometimes when you're wanting to, express something to your audience, you want to make sure they understand it. This film isn't worried about that. This film trusts the audience and trusts this process and is confident in the images and the story they're telling through the imagery, that they don't need to explain anything to us because we, the audience, can pick up on it, or even pick up on the things we need to pick up on. It's a visual masterpiece. One more thing with the cinematography that I'll just say really, really quick. This cinematography called me back to an old epic that I had seen after I watched Nomadland, actually. So I guess I should say it in reverse. The cinematography of this epic called me to Nomadland, because that's what happened. The cinematography of the film Dr. Zhivago, directed by David Lean. David Lean is somewhat of a master in creating film epics. That was kind of his specialty. There's a scene within Dr. Zhivago. I won't spoil Dr. Zhivago too much, but at one point, our main character, Dr. Zhivago, he is a prisoner of war. As he's a prisoner of war, the way he gets out is he just kind of, while everyone's up ahead of him, he just kind of waits to the back and then just turns and just goes. She starts going a different direction. And it was just funny to me because there's very wide shots in those traveling scenes to see that they're going just one direction along this huge snow-covered prairie. And it's just amazing to me that, he had all these opportunities to just leave. And it's almost funny that he just turns and just leaves because he can. There's so many other directions to go than with this people he's going with. And there's a lot of meaning to that within the context of Dr. Zhivago, and I won't get into that. However, it just made me think of Nomadland, how many of these wide shots that exist in Nomadland as well, to capture backgrounds, to capture the openness of the world that exists. Many of those shots within her, especially when she's along her journey, I think it just kind of suggests the same thing, how beautiful this opportunity is for just freedom from being bogged down by society's norms. Those things, you can be free from those, you know? There's a whole world of just beauty that exists, and we can discover that for ourselves. We have that opportunity. We can go right now. I can go right now. Just take a look outside and just enjoy nature for a little bit. It was just an interesting thing from Dr. Zhivago. It's a great movie, by the way, if you can get a hold of it. Turner Classic Movies plays it fairly frequently, so just keep an eye out for that. Now, the most daring and the most noteworthy feat of this is the structure of the script and using characters who are actual nomads. Linda May, Swanky, these are real life people playing themselves. This film very much blurs the line between fiction and documentary. So this accomplishes something that's known as a docufiction. It doesn't just accomplish it, it accomplishes it well. It's done extremely well, very successfully. In fact, because this is like very rarely practiced or done, I would consider this the first successful and critically acclaimed docufiction like ever. Basically what I'm saying when I'm referring to this film as a docufiction, it is just a film that meshes documentary and fiction. There's definitely documentary elements of this where we are literally having conversations with real nomads telling their own personal life stories and sharing these things with us. And to have then Frances McDormand play a character along with them it's ingenious. It's insane. That sounds like a technical nightmare, you know? I mean, like to think of like putting that all together. And quite frankly, I'm saying that right now, and it's just kind of funny because you watch the film and you go, oh, it seems almost easy. And I bet it was, you know, to a certain extent. I'm sure it was just, they just were there. They just existed. It's a really beautiful thing that they did. The other thing I like it too is it, I guess, kind of maybe challenges ones. I imagine pitching this film perhaps was difficult. I don't know if that was the main element of pitching the film, but I imagine pitching that portion could have been complicated for a studio wanting to invest in this project, you know? And it's cool that the norms of filmmaking, of acting even, were challenged here. Like I say, this is a worthy feat and accomplishes a specific genre of film that's almost never attempted, and does so in such a successful way that I think Nomadland and Chloe Zhao specifically have shaped cinema and filmmaking for the next few years. I think years down the road, film historians will be talking about Nomadland and how it shaped our cinematic culture and our filmmaking world so beautifully, because we see all these new docufictions that have been taking place, some of these master docufictions, and we'll go, well, we have Nomadland to thank for that. Not many films like that exist anymore where it's like, wow, this is gonna like really make a difference. And I don't know, maybe there are films that have done that and we don't know it yet. However, this to me seems timeless. And that's why I think Nomadland should win Best Picture. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me your thoughts on the film below. Tell me why you think it should win Best Picture. Are there analytical points that I failed to discuss here? I'm sure there are. There is much to analyze about this film, so you better comment those below and get a discussion going with me. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so that you do not miss out on any content coming your way. More specifically, that you do not miss out on the next episode of Why It Should Win. Thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Bye-bye.